Welcome to The Gimmick, the tight five of your wrestling news you need to know to get caught up on this week in pro wrestling. Hey, the wrestling ratings war / network war is in full effect right now. News swept the wrestling world last week as WWE has met with Warner Brothers Discovery, the home of AEW, to find a new home for Raw. WWE is in between contract negotiations right now on all their suite of products. SmackDown landing on the USA Network after being removed from Fox from lack of return on investment, and NXT will be taking their spot on the CW. So hey, wrestling is on broadcast television. That's always a good thing. But the internet wrestling world lost their minds over this meeting, completely having no idea how movies or television are actually sold to networks. So naturally, we all just freaked out and said it was going to be the end of AEW. Not me though. I'm smart, not because I worked in the professional wrestling business. That's because I grew up with the show Entourage. Shout out Ari Gold for teaching me everything I needed to know about the Hollywood scene. Was Entourage always entertaining? No. Was it always informative? Absolutely not. I mean, Entourage was essentially a documentary. It was real, just like pro wrestling. Speaking of real, Kenny Omega is really hurt. After the Dynamite on Wednesday, Kenny posted a picture of him in the hospital saying he would be out indefinitely from an illness, did not specify. But don't worry, us in the internet wrestling community were quick to jump on it and decide maybe it was his neck, maybe it was his back. Not me. I'm a smart cookie. I put two and two together. Kenny cut a terrible promo on Dynamite with Chris Jericho. He's amazing in ring and he's very Canadian. Now, who else is not a very good promo, who's amazing in ring and is somehow surprisingly very Canadian? It's Brock Lesnar. So it's only put two and two together there to decide Kenny Omega is out with diverticulitis, the same injury that took Brock Lesnar out of the UFC. Now I hope that Kenny does better. I hope he heals and comes back just like Brock was able to beat it. But in the meantime, Kenny, no shooting star presses. And if you're interested, the Minnesota Vikings could use a linebacker. We'd love to see you at training camp next year. And these are all jokes. Obviously, we hope, Kenny, you get better, you get healthy. But you know what? People take a little wrestling a little too seriously. And I want to talk to you about something this week. And that's outrage takes. These outrage merchants that just permeate the world of professional wrestling. It seems every day I log into pro wrestling social media, joining the IWC, and I have to see some kind of outrage take, whether it's Disco Inferno saying something stupid, Eric Bischoff out there saying that CM Punk isn't a draw. Not to mention, it's not just the commentators or podcasters doing this. It's the fans. I mean, there's reactive takes to absolutely everything. Whether it's the Dragunov injury angle with Rich Holland, which I understand can be a little painful given the fact that Rich Holland did injure Biggie Langston, not on purpose. Accidents happen. It's wrestling. But a lot of people saying that's hitting a little too close to home. But remember, that's what pro wrestling's supposed to do. Pro wrestling's supposed to make you feel these stories. They're doing exactly what they should be. But going out and having these outrage takes about all this stuff is just very, very exhausting. Same thing with booking decisions. Talking about Swerve Strickland losing to Jon Moxley in the Continental Classic this week. Swerve Strickland and Jon Moxley both moving undefeated through the tournament until this point. Jon Moxley gets the pin by grabbing the tights, and Swerve's shoulder got up, which was mentioned on commentary. But those two things weren't enough for the IWC to protect Swerve. People lashed out and said, I'm never watching AEW again. I can't believe they fumbled the ball. It's one match in a tournament. That's what happens. These tournaments, and this is new to a lot of American audiences, and that's fine. I understand that. But what you need to understand about these tournaments is there's storylines that get told during the tournaments. This storyline with Jon Moxley and Swerve Strickland is just one of those storylines. So look forward to Swerve getting his win back, unless you've completely sworn off AEW because of one match. And if that's the case, okay. But we in the wrestling community let these energy vampires like Russo, like Bischoff, like Cornette, like all these reactive people suck the energy and the fun out of pro wrestling, and we need to do something about that. So don't feed into them. All they want to do is get your reactions on things. And I understand the irony of me standing in here in my living room with a microphone, with a logo I put on a wall, with a fake neon sign for my show. Yeah, I understand that I'm looking for a reaction as well, but I'm not one who's going to be out here trying to make you upset. I just want us to make pro wrestling better. So hey, speaking of pro wrestling, making pro wrestling better, go do something great today, because pro wrestling is predetermined and your life isn't. Do something great. We love you. We'll see you later. Thank you all so much for watching The Gimmick. Please send me a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. If you think I'm doing bad, let me know. Love to see it as well. Subscribe if you are not already, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.